welcome back to another Reddit video. Sorry, Tom's being weird. Very weird. Okay, so today, because I really love revenge stories, I'm going to be reading you a few from the subreddit Pro Revenge. Stop being weird. You need to cut your hair. I need to cut my hair? Huh?
About your hair.
I don't want to tell them about my hair. I dyed my hair, that's it. Okay. So this story is called Cheat on Me, I'll Get Your Child Support Raised and Your Car Repossessed, and it's by FantasyCrochet. Now, too late didn't read at the bottom just in case this does become longer than I anticipated. First, the child support. So I was with my ex-husband for about 10 years. When I met him, he knocked up his previous girlfriend before meeting me. Basically kind of ghosted her, now reflecting back on what happened. Convinced me it was her keeping him away from his kid, and that he was just a poor victim in all of it. She had taken him to court, got child support for $324 a month for a while, then tried to take him back to get it increased because she thought he was working and making more, but it backfired and it got reduced to $112 a month. It stayed like that for about 6 to 7 years, and he actually got behind a couple of times just paying this. Come 2018, I decided to leave him because he wasn't putting any effort to find a job that would support both of us while I went to nursing school. I had been working full-time and doing school part-time our entire relationship, supporting us while he went to school for medical billing and coding and didn't do anything with it once he was done. His excuse, they're outsourcing these jobs to India. He bounced from one job to another for one reason or another. Once it came time for me to actually finally apply, I told him he needed to step up. He told me he would, but never said what he was doing. He would come home from work and complain about the work and the people he worked with. He was eventually fired from that job because his boss said he worked way too slow and he was delaying orders going out for the company. We had also a bit of a dead bedroom, so that also pushed me to want to leave him. I finally decided to leave, and he moved in with a mutual friend of ours a couple months later who we had lived with us previously because she found out her husband had cheated on her. Why is this important? Because 4 months after I left, I found emails with nudes of her that he was forwarding to a secret email account that I had no clue about. They had been a lot more friendly than I had realized for over 4+ years. She had also remarried and was currently married while living separate from her husband because her ex didn't like him in the house. Granted, I didn't like him either, because he was a sleazebag who was also cheating, but I digress. He even got friendly with his ex-wife and someone else I didn't recognize. Then found out he knocked her up 2 months after being official. I didn't get to confront him with this, other than me writing an email and attaching the photos I now had. I had to do something else. So I reached out to his ex-girlfriend. He made no effort to be in his kid's life, and I tried a few times over the years of reaching out to her and establishing a relationship between them. My mum has a bigger relationship with the kid she has no relation to than my piece of crap ex. I told her I left him, that he was making way more money at his job, and she should file to have it looked at. She did, and it got increased to $264 a month. Now for the repossession of the car. After I left, he decided to buy a brand new Chevy Equinox, I think that's how it's pronounced, for over $32K. I have access to his Credit Karma account, so that's how I know. He works commission-based sales, selling furniture, TVs, and appliances. He doesn't bring home much. He actually opened a credit card through his work, bought $5K worth of stuff to furnish the house, then let it go to collections. He used my contact info, and they called me trying to collect on it. The payments on that new car was about $634 a month. He made 2 payments and stopped. Now, we had bought a house together before I left, and he finally agreed to sell our marital home after getting behind on the payments and not doing what he needed to keep it up. We had over 60% equity on the house. He decided to use his half of the sale to buy a smaller house outright instead of paying off his debt. His logic has always been if I don't have a house payment, the other bills are affordable. Part of the reasoning he used to bully me into buying our previous house. Either way, I found his new address, called the company that originated the loan, and updated them with his current information. So hopefully they'll be picking up their car any day now. Too late didn't read. Left ex-husband, found out he cheated on me with ex-roommate for years, contacted his baby mama to have her child support re-evaluated and had his payment doubled, then reached out to his car loan company and updated his home address so they can repossess the car he defaulted on. Should be losing the car any day now. Honestly, good for you. I'm glad for the child in that situation that his baby, well, whatever you want to call her, that the mother of the child is now getting the payments that she should be getting from him. That's all I have to say about the situation. Right, the next story, I'm not sure why it's all the way down there, but it's called Take the Money I Give for Bills and Squander It. Hope you like the court system, and it's by Fallout Fan 1987. The background. I lived with a group of people who I thought were my friends. They were two couples, and we all lived in the same house for almost 2 years until I recently moved out. There was David and Tina and Brittany and AJ. I was the only single person there. There was debate on how we should pay the bills, but we all decided to give the money to the person whose name was on the bill. David paid the mortgage, Tina paid the water and electric/gas, and I paid the internet. It came to the point where I was paying close to 80% of the mortgage by myself, the entire water bill, about 75% of the gas and electric, and I was paying the internet bill by myself. I was giving the money still to the person in charge of the bill, but came to find out about 10 days before I moved out that the mortgage was defaulted and the house was in foreclosure. Also, the water, gas, and electric bills were in constant threat of being shut off, and that the only up-to-date bill was the internet. While they saw me struggle to pay these off, they were mindlessly spending money during the day, which is when I sleep due to working third shift, so I never saw the mindless things that they spent money on, nor did I ever see the mail since they grabbed it before I woke up. Brittany never paid anything as she was having her check garnished due to unpaid student loans, but she always had expensive makeup. AG never held a job for more than 2 weeks. David and Tina were always calling into work, knowing that I wouldn't allow them to go without a home due to our history. One day I woke up while they were all out and about doing something, so I went to go check the mail as I expected a package, but when I saw the bills in the mail, so I decided to investigate. I opened up the gas and electric bill, as they are by the same company, to see a total amount of almost $400 and in risk of being shut off. I was shocked and annoyed. I knew right then and there what was going on, and I vowed to screw them over as hard as I could. The revenge. I had just interviewed for a new job that paid almost double what I was making, and I knew that I interviewed well with them, so I told myself that if I got the job, I would give them a 30-day notice and move out. And it was close to the end of the month, so I had already paid them. I would be moving out before the 1st of February. I got the call with the job offer the next day, which I happily accepted. I did the paperwork for the background check, and it came all clean. The day I accepted the offer, I typed out a 30-day notice and recorded myself with my phone in my breast pocket handing it to them, explaining that I was moving out. I started my job and my hunt for an apartment close to my new job, which I found within a week of starting. I took almost the entirety of my checks, set them aside for rent, deposit, and basic things that I would need. I was asked several times to help with the next month's bills, to which I said no, as I was saving for my own place and that they had plenty of time to come up with the money between the four of them, because I was doing it all by myself pretty much on a meager pay rate of $11 an hour before my new job. There were a lot of scowls, aggressive behaviour, and flat-out attempts to take or use my things or foods without permission. The day when I finally went and got my U-Haul and had a few friends help me move out, free beer and free lunch are the best payments ever, as they shared it all with me. I was determined to get it all in one go, so I got the biggest one they had, and we got everything packed up. I took everything that was mine down to my pizza stone, which they loved, my expensive kitchen knives, which they would use and never clean, even my toilet paper that I had brought 3 days prior because I needed it. A few rolls went missing very quick. After moving everything, I sat down on my couch, looked around, my cat in my lap, and breathed a sigh of relief. I happened to be good friends with my previous neighbours. We smoked each other out frequently, and asked them to keep an eye for anything out of the ordinary. 4 days go by, and I come to find out that the gas, electric, and water bills and water have all been shut off, and they were asking to fill up some buckets to manually flush the toilets, bathing, etc., etc. Now both couples have dogs, which my cat hated as they were both hyperactive as heck, but I loved them. So I decided that those dogs were in a dangerous situation, as they had no water, no heat in the middle of winter, and probably no food, as I had bought the last bag about 2 weeks prior. I hate to see an animal go hungry. So I called the local humane society and left an anonymous tip about how the dogs and how I was worried about them. The next day, my neighbour Todd texted me, telling me that the dogs were removed from the home, that my previous housemates were being charged with neglect, and because of the lack of utilities, that these were not civil but criminal charges. This was enough for me to smile, but I wanted more. I knew that David was divorced but had a child. I also knew that he wasn't paying child support. I then contacted the local courts and made them aware of the flagrant non-support, and that maybe they could help the agency looking for him. I provided the address that we lived at, and that the homeowner was the one who was being looked for. From there it came to light that he was almost $25,000 behind, which is a felony in the state where I live. He is now living with someone on their couch, as Tina left him. The house has been foreclosed on, and he has nothing to his name while facing multiple criminal charges. Moral of the story: don't take advantage of a friend who knows all your dirty secrets. Too late, didn't read. Housemates spent bill money I gave them. I did my best to tear their lives apart. This story is called Falsely Accuse Me and Withhold My Pay. Say Goodbye to Your Business, and it's by Sion G Me, something like that. 26, and I'll put that in the description below along with everyone else's username. So this happened a little bit ago at my first job. Too late, didn't read at the bottom. I worked at a small local spa company. There was only about 6 workers there. I worked there for a year and a half and only met the owner once, but talked to them on the phone a lot. She was batshit crazy, but that's besides the point. Anyway, I got hired because of my friend's mum, Pam, was the manager, and someone had quit in the middle of their shift, so they needed someone fast. I worked really well there and learned very fast. I was very good at the job, to the point where after a couple of months they sent new hires to be trained by me. Turnover here was bad. Despite this, I didn't get a raise or anything. It wasn't a big deal, but it would have been nice. Anyway, as I was always a closer, there would be a list of things I had to do after we closed, like vacuum and dust and such, janitorial things. As months go by, Pam begins to pick apart things. A string was left on the rug. The candy bowls weren't filled, even though they weren't even half gone, etc. Nothing too big. But they made it seem like I liked what? But they made it seem like I liked their mother. I'm not sure what that means. Slowly things started to get worse. Eventually I was being told that I was not cleaning rooms, and I know for a fact that I had. Now I admit that once in a while I would forget to clean something, but I was getting yelled at for things that I knew for a fact that I had cleaned. My other problem was when my co-workers would forget the same exact things, she wouldn't yell at them, but just say, try to remember, or something along those lines. Eventually, Pam got other co-workers to lie so that she could report me to the owner. Many days I came right from school and would be wearing jeans. Pam left right when I got there, so after I clocked in and counted the drawer, I would go and change into my work pants. Well, it turns out my other co-workers would lie and tell her I never changed. After this, I began taking pictures and time-stamping them. This worked for a little while, but then my co-workers would say I changed back into jeans after that picture, and then when it came to cleaning, she would say I didn't clean it well enough, etc. All of these would get turned into the owner, but she wouldn't fire me because they were so desperate for people and no one wanted to work there. I wonder why. Eventually, I quit because I had a job for the summer that gave me more hours. In my summer job, I had the same amount of money in 7 weeks than I made in a year at the last place I left. Right after I learned why Pam wanted me gone so bad. Pam hired her son, my ex-friend, because he was too lazy to work a job where he couldn't sit around all day. That made me mad, but even worse, they didn't give me my last payment. We were paid in cash. I sent multiple emails and text messages to Pam and the owner that reminded them that I needed it. When those went unanswered, I then threatened legal action. Being a high schooler, I don't believe they thought I would do anything. How wrong they were. Well, there were many reasons I was mad about this, so I decided I'd document every single thing about that place. These include 8+ work-hour days with no breaks or lunch, both of which are required in my state, rats in the basement, ant infestation, fake security cameras, allowing underage drinking, Pam faking the amount of money we had to pay her son and daughter for under-the-table work, child labour, Pam's daughter was not old enough to work, not fixing things like building framework, mould, etc., allowing temperatures to go above and below the legal limit. On bad days, it was above 100 or below 50 inside. Drug use, Pam giving themselves a raise, even though they already made more than everyone else there. Selling client information, Pam compiling clients for another worker to take them to a new company. Usually not illegal, but the way they went about it was. I don't remember the exact details. Not doing anything about harassment, not paying workers. There'd be days where we didn't have enough money in the drawer and the owner and/or Pam would be too lazy to go to the bank so they could just straight up not pay us. Not only this, but prior to me leaving, I recorded some of the verbal abuse from Pam. Believe it or not, I got them to admit to making false write-ups on me. There was more, but I can't remember what else right now. Anyway, I was compiling all of this and sent it in an email to OSHA. Crap went down. In the end, both Pam and the owner were served with some hefty fines, and Pam is even facing jail time right now for fraud. The owner had to shut down their business and sell it. I don't know if the owner is facing any jail time. I also emailed every spa within 50 miles of the owner, Pam, and some co-workers have been blacklisted from working within an hour of where we're located. I did never receive my last payment. It wasn't worth going to court over, but what came out of it was so much better. Too late didn't read. My first job made false claims against me to try and get me fired, and when I finally left, they hired the manager's lazy son and withheld my paycheck, so I reported them to the state and blacklisted them from working at every spa in a 50-mile radius. Edit. Changed P to PAM to Pam, sorry. Thank you everyone for pointing that out and fixing spelling mistakes and spelling and grammatical errors. Edit 2. Thank you for the platinum. Honestly, they do. I think they deserve that as well. They should have paid you. That's just what you get for not paying your workers and being a terrible place to work in general. And I think that if it wasn't you, they would have done that to somebody else. So I'm glad that you did that so that they can't treat anyone else how they treated you. This one is called Spaghetti Girl, Sell a Broken Laptop to My Kid, Lie to Me, Threaten Me, As You Wish. And it's by ChristianSeer. Hi Reddit, this happened a few years ago on Facebook Marketplace to my dad. I'm the kid. My dad told me this story about 1 week ago. when I asked why my birthday present a few years ago disappeared in mysterious ways. Oh boy, was I not prepared for that. Please note, English is not my primary language, but I'll try to clarify anything. Just ask. Lots of backstory. I was around 13 at the time, now 19. I was hooked on Minecraft, and me and my dad spent quite some time on the Xbox 360 version. I had got good grades in school, so he decided it was time for us to switch to PC. He already had a pretty good PC for his work as a programmer and IT administrator, but he wanted to get me a cheap laptop. We had a hard time and also almost no money, so it had to be cheap and used. He saw an offer on Facebook Marketplace from a girl he and my mother met at a club he was DJing at a few years ago. Let's call her Spaghetti Girl. She was selling lots of stuff because she moved in with her boyfriend and her kids. I'm confused to why she didn't live with her kids in the first place. But anyway, back to the story. Among that stuff was a cheap laptop. Nothing fancy, pretty scuffed, and only the network port didn't work, according to her. No big deal for €50, which is $54 in the US. Worth a shot. My dad contacted Spaghetti Girl and went to pick up the laptop just in time for my birthday. He had to wait for his paycheck, rough times. When the day came, he went to the agreed spot, but she didn't show up. She called later that day and told my dad that she had to wait for her boyfriend to wipe the hard drive as she didn't trust my dad. My dad assured her that he had no intentions to snoop around in her stuff, and he could help her with that. After all, he's an IT guy. No, my boyfriend works in the CIA and he's a hacker. Yeah, right, a CIA hacker in Germany. By the name of Hans Huber. Name changed, but a very German name. Okay, fine. She insisted that the laptop still works and just the network port is busted. After 1 week, my dad picked up the laptop, paid the $50 and headed home. He couldn't test it on site because the battery was dead. Back at home, the laptop was of course dead. He opened it up and found a mixture of nicotine, coffee, and undefined fluids. Close your eyes and imagine the sound of a Velcro strap being pulled open. That was the sound the keyboard made when he tried to lift it up. I still remember the sound because I stood next to him and wanted to get my laptop going ASAP. I cried the whole night. Of course, my dad contacted the pasta lady right away. She insisted that that he must have broken it as it worked yesterday, and that she also wanted €10 for the bag she gave him with it. My dad was calm on the outside, but he locked up his office door for 10 hours for 4 hours and instructed us to not go in there for a few days. Finally, after a wall of text, the autopsy. Remember that my dad was an IT administrator at the time? Turns out he was pretty good at his job. He was a guest lecturer at some universities, held talks about data recovery on conferences, etc. My dad plugged in the still good hard drive into his work PC and had a look. Of course, hacker hands had only formatted the drive. He recovered some files to look for any logs that would indicate that the laptop had worked yesterday. The last files were from half a year ago, and it wasn't shut down as the dirty bit for Windows was also set. Everything indicated that the laptop was dead for at least half a year. Great work, Hans. On the second evening, when my dad was looking for evidence, he stumbled across some pictures. One of an elderly man with a guitar, a few from the nightclub back in the days. I remember how I heard my dad laugh inside his office, but I wasn't allowed in and the door was locked. That upset me back then. Now I understand. The spaghetti incidents. She had some pictures taken of her with some spaghetti meticulously rolled up into a circle on her breasts. Lots of spaghetti, with a blob of sauce in the middle to cover up the nipples. Her boyfriend was sitting next to her with some chopsticks. I mean, who in the world eats spaghetti with chopsticks? And who pays a photographer to take pictures of that? My dad tried to ask her for the money back, and even offered to help and get her files back. Didn't mention the spaghetti pictures. She went on to attack my dad publicly on Facebook. Stuff like, "There's this guy," Dad's name, who tried to blackmail me. What should I do? And no, I don't want your pictures, Dad's name. And to top it all off, when my boyfriend learns about this, he'll hack you. A few private messages followed. Shut up about that stupid laptop and give me the €10 for the bag, or else I'll tell everyone you wanted to rape me. Also a few insults. My dad had had enough of that. He suspended his Facebook account and went silent. He almost lost his job and family over this, but he was smart enough to save all the chat logs with her, so he could prove to my mother and his boss that he wasn't blackmailing anybody, and he wasn't sending nude pictures to anybody. Yet. The revenge. After a few months, my dad had a new Facebook account and everything was back to normal. He landed a new job, didn't add his boss on Facebook this time, and didn't use his real name. He even joined the old nightclub alumni group on Facebook to connect with friends from back in the days. One beautiful day, he finds a new post in the group by Spaghetti Girl, asking everyone for pictures of the good old days, as a thief stole her laptop and tried to blackmail her with deleting the pictures. My dad kindly responded. He had this evil grin on his face when he told me a few days ago. "Oh, hey, Spaghetti Girl. Long time no see. I have quite a few pictures from the time. Found them on an old hard drive. Even some of you and your boyfriend at a nice pasta dinner. And a few screenshots with old chat logs. Do you want me to send them via PM or should I share them here? Now just share them here, as you wish." Hey, there's also good news for her. She got the pictures of her recently deceased father back, the nice gentleman with a guitar, in 160 times 160 pixels. The fallout. Facebook blew up that day and the weeks after. At least in our little slice of the world, a few things happened. She was dropped by her friends. They all cut ties with her. Turned out she pulled off a similar thing with a bouncer of that nightclub. Got him fired and expelled from their group of friends. He was the creator of the said Facebook group. Did not mean to swear in that. Noodle, bad word, and Chopstick Dick were both tagged in the pictures by their former friends. Even her cat was tagged in one of the pictures. Her boyfriend Hans of 12 years recognized one of her tattoos that he paid for, so the picture had to be taken recently. He recognized the bed she was on, but he wasn't the chopstick wielding dude in the picture. He was now Han Solo. My dad never really looked that much at the pictures, so he didn't see that Spaghetti Queen had laid out a bunch of drugs, weed pills in a Ziploc bag in the background of her pictures. This minor detail was discovered in the Chopstick Master's current girlfriend, who of course told the police, CPS, judgment in Germany, and both of their parents. Police couldn't do much. Their kids were taken away for a while. I don't know what happened afterwards. A few colleagues of hers saw that post. She quit her dream job of being a cashier at Audi soon after that. She had to move out of Hans' flat. She was moved across the country if her new Facebook account is to be believed. She used the name of her cat. I know I'm being a spiteful prick over this, but I think she got what she deserved, and $50. Today, we sold the hard drive and the RAM from the laptop for €30 each afterwards. With the money, my dad bought a used HP desktop for me. Minecraft at 30 frames per second, coming from the Xbox 360. This felt right at home. For my 17th birthday, I got a, back then, brand new computer, Ryzen 16000X GTX 1060. 16 gigs of RAM and a brand new SSD, with no spaghetti pictures on it. My dad and I still play Minecraft together. He is now a software developer at a bigger company and we have no concerns about money. Not rich, but not paycheck to paycheck. Not all heroes wear cape, but my dad does. He went to Minecon. I know it's pretty long. Hope it was worth your time. Greetings from Germany. Chris. Edit, a few clarifications. We were in a pinch financially because we had to pay double rent because we moved recently. My mother lost her job and her car broke down. This was a bit too much, and it took a few months to recover. My dad, of course, opened the lid of the laptop while picking it up. Everything visible without assembling the computer looked fine. The Velcro moment was when he took it apart to see if it was an easy fix, like a blown fuse on the input circuit. Some of you pointed out that Facebook Marketplace was introduced in 2016. However, people have been selling stuff on Facebook for years. There were buy and sell groups before that. For me, everything bought from Facebook was from the Facebook Marketplace, so I might have mixed that up when writing. Today I learned people do eat spaghetti with chopsticks. I didn't want to judge you guys. In Germany, this is very uncommon. So, final story. This one is called Kick Me in the Balls, Say Goodbye to Your Future. And it's by Free Walrus. Well, Free Walrus, that's her name. I'm Mel, 23 years old, and in August 2017 I was in a bar and I ran into an old friend. I was talking to her and she had my hand on my shoulder and we were flirty, etc. Her friend came out of nowhere and kicked me in the balls as hard as she could, for no reason. Apparently she's a mean drunk and thought I didn't know the girl I was speaking to and was trying to protect her. I hit the ground immediately, and I couldn't breathe, and everyone was staring at me and didn't know what to do. I was just lying on the ground for a few minutes when the bouncer basically dragged me out, and the girl I was talking to was just apologizing. My balls killed so much that I immediately Ubered to the hospital, and turns out my left testicle ruptured, popped from the kick. But since I went to hospital as soon as possible, they were able to operate and save it rather than having to remove it. But it is still going to have less functionality from now on. Obviously, I was extremely annoyed, and I filed a police report, and thankfully the cops took it very seriously. And I got video footage from the bar, eyewitness accounts, statements from everyone, including the girl who kicked me. The girl reached out to me numerous times and apologized, but I didn't care. I wanted her in jail. The police told me they've gathered enough evidence to charge her, and that due to the video and witness statements, the charges will stick. But it will be up to the judge on how harsh of a punishment she will get. They suggested that she will get a light punishment because she's a straight A student, never been in trouble, parents are wealthy, and she has retained a great lawyer. And she's also a white 20-year-old girl, so that plays a huge part. The cops recommended I just take a written and verbal apology from her, and her lawyer contacted me and told me she wants to become a teacher, so she won't be able to become a teacher if she has a criminal record. And he gave me her written apology in advance, hoping to sway my mind. I rejected all of this and pushed on towards charges. About 2 years later, she was convicted, and she has spent about 3 weeks in jail, paid a fine, and has community service, and most importantly, has a criminal record and now can't be a teacher. She contacted me many times before the charges were laid and begged me to drop them, saying she was just drunk and never hurt anyone before and it was a mistake. But she literally popped my ball for no reason, and for that she has to pay. Well, I don't know what to say about that. I'm kind of conflicted because at the same time I do feel bad that she can't become a teacher if it's just like a one-off incident, but at the same time, like, she actually like did something so bad that you had to have treatment on it. So, I mean, technically, that is assault, so I don't know. So, I guess it's good that she's got a criminal charge, but it's kind of sad that she can't become a teacher. I want to know what the comments say on this one. I know I haven't been reading them, but I want to know what other people think. Being drunk is not an excuse to commit a crime. Thought we established that. Yeah, yeah, true. Just because she's drunk. That is a very mean drunk person. Who's just goes and attacks someone? There are better ways. Even if he was creeping on her friend, there are better ways of dealing with that. You don't have to just go and kick them in the balls. And also, how hard did she have to kick him in the balls to actually pop his testicle? People are going over the fact that this girl has caused permanent damage that affects the body's function. Why shouldn't she be left with something life-altering as well? Being drunk is no excuse. Actually, I think I do agree with that. I think maybe she does deserve it. She caused permanent damage to a stranger for no reason. What do you think would happen if a student talked back too often? Keeping her out of teaching was a public service. Yeah, that's true actually. Because if she's really angry, and then say the student's like just basically a little, I don't know what to call it, but she might just lose her temper with a student. So I mean, I guess the guy's basically doing what's best for everyone here. I think I'm gonna end this video here because I'm not sure how long this video's been, and I haven't picked out any more stories to read. So I will see you next time.